So with such an amazing game, you'd think you have a successful start to a franchise, right? Well, unfortunately the game did not do very well due to poor marketing in the West. Inafune himself cited the god-awful cover art as another reason. In the end, Mega Man did not sell enough copies to justify a sequel, and Capcom higher-ups decided to forget about it and move on to something new. I think we all know how that turned out.
Okay, so I literally have a note in my Excel document telling me not to spam Mega Man games, but I'm in a foul mood as of late and my birthday's coming up, so I don't care, I'm gonna indulge myself. Let's start with some backstory. So, the original Mega Man game failed, and Capcom higher-ups understandably decided to abandon that ship. But the creators of the game disagreed, believing that there still is something that can be done with the franchise. Producer Takuro Fujiwara was against it, but Akira Kitamura pushed through and went to Capcom vice president, who in turn decided to throw him a bone. And by throw him a bone, I mean Kitamura's team were allowed to make another Mega Man game, on the condition that they work exclusively on their own free time, and they only get 4 months to make it. And they were like, okay, and began work. Akira Kitamura was still the project lead, and Keiji Inafune was also back as the character designer, though he was more involved in the production process this time. They used some assets that went unused in the original game, and organized a contest where kids from all over Japan could send in their ideas for Robot Masters, which became a serious tradition. And so, after 4 months of time and a lot of work, Rockman 2: The Mystery of Dr. Wily was released in Japan on December 24th, 1988. It was then released in the USA and Europe in 1989 and 1990 respectively, as Mega Man 2, without the subtitle. Omitting subtitles would also become serious tradition. And American box art is weird again. The game opens with a cutscene that explains the story. After Dr. Wily was defeated in the first game, he made 8 new Robot Masters to get revenge on Mega Man. You'd think Revenge of Dr. Wily would be a more appropriate subtitle for the game, but that's actually another game entirely. Wait. Did Mega Man just let Wily go after defeating him in the first game? I think he did. Anyway, as the story implied, you now get to fight 8 bosses who now get nice mugshots on the stage select screen. Look at this handsome devil. Overall, the game process did not change. You traverse the stages while defeating enemies and avoiding other obstacles, and at the end, you fight a boss. You defeat them and get their weapon. Then, after all 8 are down, you move on to Wily's own stages, now coming with this cool map screen. Right off the bat, they improved Mega Man's movement. This weird delay in his running animation and heavy momentum from the first game are gone. No more unfortunate interactions with gravitational forces because the character didn't stop in time, and no more micro jumps. Graphics have also been improved. Several stages now feature animated backgrounds that look fantastic. Except this one hurts my eyes. Even the ones without animated backgrounds look great, except maybe Crashman's stage. It just looks weird. Unfortunately, the game is very prone to sprite flickering in certain stages, which can be really unpleasant to look at. This is especially bad in... Actually, let's not talk about that yet. Instead, let's talk about the stages themselves. The main idea is the same. You traverse the stage, deal with its gimmicks, like conveyor belts and disappearing Yoku blocks, we'll come back to that one, and bust enemies that stand in your way. Only 2 enemy types return from the first game, Metals and Sniper Joes, whose behavior has been somewhat altered. All other smaller enemies debut in this game. While some enemies are universal, a lot of them are actually exclusive to a specific stage. Special mention goes to Woodman's stage, where all the enemies are some kind of robotic animals. I especially like these adorable bats. Some stages also have divergent pathways, and if you take the right path, you might get yourself a treat. Like these energy tanks, that completely restore your health when you use them. You can either find them on stages themselves, or have enemies drop them on a very rare occasion. The only limitation is that you can only carry 4 of them, and you lose all of them if you get a game over. Speaking of game overs, while it's hard for me to judge the game's overall difficulty, I guess it's still pretty difficult for a newcomer. There are places where you have to do some tight maneuvering. This especially goes for Quickman stage, where you have to deal with these laser beams that instantly kill you upon contact. You literally have to be quick or be dead. You also have to move in a certain way because it's possible to run the wrong way, in which case you won't have enough time to correct yourself. I can beat this stage just fine, but I played this game so much I remember where every single pixel is. To add insult to injury, Quickman himself is the hardest boss in the game. This stage is a nightmare for any newcomer. Thankfully, if you feel too frustrated and want to stop playing, you no longer have to lose all of your progress, because they implemented a password system, represented by this grid. It remembers which bosses you beat and how many energy tanks you have. Each space also represents a specific thing, so you can manipulate it somewhat. However, the password does not save your progress through the Wily stages, so you still have to beat all of that in a single sitting. Speaking of the Wily stages, those are mostly centered around using support items creatively labeled as Item 1, Item 2, and Item 3. All of them serve to help you traverse the stage in some way similar to Magnet Beam from the first game, and they are mandatory to beat the Wily stages. And if you run out of energy, there's always a place where you can farm it nearby. Unlike the first game, however, you now get them alongside a special weapon when you defeat specific bosses, and thus completely eliminating the possibility of not having an item to proceed. A much welcome change. Wily Stage 5 also brings back the Robot Master rematches, but now it's a continuous boss rush against all 8. You can choose in which order to tackle them, and each one drops a large health pickup. But if you get a game over, you have to start the boss rush from scratch. The aforementioned items can also be a great help on the Robot Master stages, where they can help you grab some goodies or go around an obstacle like... Let's talk about special weapons. Their usefulness varies weapon to weapon, but they all have their day. Bubble Lead, I don't know. Babururiddo is often called one of the worst weapons in the series, but it's pretty effective against these enemies that are invincible to most of your arsenal. Air Shooter helps with enemies above you and also one-shots these big walkers. I'm not sure how that works, but I'll take it. Lift Shield may not shield you from projectiles, but it does help with personal space invaders. And drills. Honestly, the only weapons that I don't use regularly are Quick Boomerang because... yeah. Crash Bomber because of its limited ammo pool, though it does help you get items behind breakable walls. And my least favorite weapon, Flashman's Time Stopper. I don't know how a robot can cause universal temporal deceleration, but the point is, you cannot attack in any way while time stop is active, and you cannot turn it off manually. It only deactivates after its energy runs out, which is pretty quick by the way. It does get to shine during Quickman stage though, because it can prevent these laser beams from going off. You aren't completely off the hook, but it helps a lot. The thing is, it's also Quickman's own weakness, so you have to think if you want to have easier time on the stage itself or on the boss fight. I usually save it for the boss. Yes, suffer! Excuse me. Speaking of boss weaknesses, once again they kind of make sense. This hot stud is a fire-based enemy, so you assault his masculinity with girly water-based bubbles, while Woodman is easily burned with atomic fire. And Quickman apparently feels physical pain from sitting in one place for an extended period of time. You pop bubbles with sharp objects, hence Bubbleman's weakness to Metal Blade. Okay, let's talk about Metal Blade. It's a projectile that you can throw in 8 directions, and deals a lot of damage to most enemies in the game. This includes bosses. 3 of the bosses are weak to Metal Blade, which hilariously includes Metalman himself who dies to it in 2 hits. The problem is that this weapon's ammo pool is enormous. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Because of this weapon's versatility, its gigantic ammo pool, coupled with how easy it is to obtain due to Metalman's stage being the easiest one to beat, Metal Blade completely breaks the game's difficulty balance and diminishes usefulness of every other weapon. While it's not a panacea and some enemies are immune to it, it's still bad game design, despite anything the fanboys might be saying. Speaking of bad game design, let's keep going. Enough of this happy positive stuff, let's get rigorously upset. As much of an improvement Mega Man 2 is over the first game, it does have its share of bad game design choices. You cannot revisit Robot Master stages after you beat them. Not a big deal, but a little annoying. What is more than a little annoying are these white flashes whenever you damage Wily stage bosses. I am mildly annoyed by them, but I'm pretty sure it can cause seizures for some people. You can look again now. Next, this section in Hitman stage. I told you we would come back to this. Usually Yoku block puzzles follow some rules, the main ones being that the blocks appear according to the rhythm of a sound they make, and in case of instant death hazards, the entire pattern should be immediately observable. This Yoku block section and Hitman stage does not follow them. There is a lengthy part of a section over lava in a bottomless pit that lasts for around 2.5 screens. They don't follow the usual rhythm either. Granted, the rhythm here does make sense once you notice it, but a novice would probably have to die a few times before that happens. This jump right here is especially nasty, not a fan. I honestly cannot blame the guy from that song for dying here all the time. Thankfully, item 2 works wonders here. And then there is Wily Stage 4. It starts off okay, nothing outrageous, though this invisible pit can go screw itself. The first big wake-up call is this Sniper Joe sitting in a narrow corridor where you cannot jump over his bullets. And then you meet the boss of a stage. This is Boobium Trap, the single worst piece of game design in the entire series. This fight works like this. First you need to ride an item 1 platform up, then you should start destroying these wall pimples, I don't know. All technical problems come to a head in this fight. The sprites are flickering heavily, and frame rate drops at the beginning while all the turrets are on screen. You are also supposed to destroy these walls with Crash Bomber to get to the turrets, all while avoiding their hard-to-dodge shots. But the problem is, Crash Bomber is also the only weapon that works on the turrets, and it only has so much ammo. Plus there are more targets than you have shots to defeat the boss. So if you make one mistake and waste as few as 2 shots, that's it, you're screwed. You now have to let the boss kill you to get a chance to farm weapon energy. And the problem is, there are no convenient places to do that in this stage. You either have to sit here and kill a lot of tallies, or deal with Sniper Joes and their armors. Both methods are a pain in the ass and take too long. This is such a bad case of game design, it's honestly baffling, and it seriously ruins my enjoyment of the game overall. If you're playing the Modern Legacy collection or using an emulator, just make a save state before the boss. No one will think less of you. And if they do, screw them. There are also other problems, like 2 bosses having attack patterns where damage is unavoidable, but this game is still a very good time overall, even if a Boobium Trap does ruin it for me significantly. And there are other cool things about it I didn't mention, like some bosses actually getting healed by some weapons. And guess what? The music is great too. Unfortunately, Manami Matsumaya only worked on 2 tracks. Most of the soundtrack was composed by Takashi Tateishi. Here, check out some samples. If you haven't heard the first Wily Stage theme song by now, you're probably living under a rock. On Pluto. And Crashman's theme gives me memories of a Soviet band singing about how they don't want you to share your tomatoes with them. I don't remember what the song is, don't ask. Overall, the game is great, and it's a good improvement over the first one. And you have to remember the conditions under which it was made. The team only had 4 months to make it, and they were working on it strictly on their own free time. Keiji Inafune recalled in an interview that they had to go for 20-hour workdays. That's insane, but it's a testament to how much enthusiasm they put into the game. It still led to Metal Blade and Boobium Trap, but it's a great achievement nonetheless. The devs even went extra mile to make the game more inviting for newbies, which is great. And if the energy tanks and password system are still not enough, the Western release has an easier difficulty labeled as the normal mode, where Mega Man deals more damage, which changes behavior of some normal enemies and turns most bosses into a joke. And Metal Man now dies to his own weapon in 1 hit. The question is this game really the best in the series as many people say, and do I recommend it as somebody's first Mega Man game? Yeah, hell no! It still has Boobium Trap in it. Imagine this being someone's first Mega Man experience. No, if you want to get into Mega Man, start with the first game. Or maybe with Mega Man 6. Regardless, Mega Man 2 was an overwhelming success that launched Mega Man into becoming Capcom's biggest franchise, which led to a lot more games, a lot more series, a lot more appearances, and its untimely demise due to oversaturation. But at least Mega Man 11 was cool. Thanks for watching this video, my dear viewer. If you enjoyed what you watched, give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I'll try not to spam more Mega Man games in the future. Keep on rocking and I'll see you next time.